my friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Lexi and today is Mystery Monday. Mystery Mondays are where we diamond paint a crystal mystery canvas and talk about an unsolved mystery case. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Watcher House. If you remember from last week, we talked about the Circleville letters, and it really reminded me of this case in which some people got some mysterious letters at their house from somebody that claimed to be the Watcher. And I just couldn't stop thinking about this case because it was one that really intrigued me. And a little while ago, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, Netflix put out a dramatic TV show about it, and it was such a good show. It was so good. I was hooked. We binge watched it, and so I thought, you know what? I want to cover that case because that one was so great. I couldn't stop thinking about it after we talked about Circleville. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to continue on our mystery canvas here. Just a recap. We did week 1 was here, week 2 was here, and then last week was week 3, and we did this corner up here. So far, we still don't know what it is. There seems to be some stars here. I don't know. This kind of looks like a rocket ship to me, like the end of it maybe, but I'm not sure. So I don't know what it is. So we will pick a random square to diamond paint this week while I tell you all about the Watcher House. We're going to pick a number out of my little jar here, and we'll get started. Now, this week, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Usually, I tell you the story while I'm diamond painting. This week, I'm going to diamond paint and I'm going to voice over because I actually want to read out the letters to you, some of them anyway, because they are wild. And I feel like I'll never get this done if I'm like reading and trying to diamond paint, and anyway, we'll try it that way. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so we picked number 4. Oh dear, where's that one? Oh, okay, we're doing the opposite corner over here this week. So number 4. So I'll go ahead and cut that one out. We got a cute little moon phase sticker on it. So I'll cut that one out. I'll get to diamond painting, and I'm going to switch over to voiceover, and I'll tell you about the Watcher House. Okay, so the Watcher House. This case is from 2014, although I suspect it started way before 2014. This case got national attention due to its very mysterious and unsettling nature, and it centers on the Broaddus family. So, Derek and Maria Broaddus purchased their dream home in New Jersey in 2014. Now, this home was a historical home, and it was in a beautiful suburb out in Westfield, New Jersey, and it was actually considered a really, really nice, safe, affluent neighborhood at this time. And this house that they bought, it's well known, it's well published that it is 657 Boulevard, and it's an iconic house. And I'll put some pictures in here so that you can see. It is an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous home. So imagine you've put your money, your heart, and your soul into buying your dream house for you and your family, and you're excited to move in. So, unfortunately for Maria and Derek Broaddus, this wasn't quite the happy moment that they were hoping for. So, they buy this house, and before they can even move in, weird things start happening. So the Broaddus family, they had some renovating that they were doing in the house, so they had not moved in right away. But one day, the husband went over to the house to just check on things, see how things were going. And almost by habit, he went to the mailbox. And there really wasn't any mail in there, but there was this strange letter that was waiting for him. It was addressed to the new owners. And the letter was really creepy. And this started off a whole chain of letters, a whole series of letters that came to the house. And the letters were filled with very ominous language, with very peculiar details. And the anonymous sender only identified themselves as the Watcher. Now, these letters were pretty disturbing and, of course, instilled a lot of fear in the Broaddus family. So the letters made reference to the Watcher being part of this tradition, like generational tradition of watching over the house and all of the inhabitants that lived there. And the letter made references to the Broaddus family and the family members by name and mentioned specifics about their daily routines and their activities. So it was more than just a prank or a joke. It was somebody was watching them. Somebody was stalking them. And the chilling content of the letters really raised some serious concerns, obviously, for the Broaddus family and their safety. And it prompted them to decide not to move into the house. I mean, it was that bad. And as the case went on, they actually sought out some legal action against the people that previously owned the home because they felt like they were not made aware of the house's history and the connection to the Watcher. They attempted to sell the house, and because of the notoriety of the case and all of the stigma attached to the Watcher house, it made it very difficult to find a buyer for this house. The case actually led to some intense speculation and media coverage. Obviously, just like we talked about with the Circleville letters last week, this is one of those cases where it's such an enigma, it's such a mystery, and it's one of those where people love to speculate about who could possibly be doing this. And there's so many unique characters in this story and so many people that have a possible motive. So it did gain a lot of attention. Investigators were unable to uncover any concrete evidence or the identity of the person responsible. So at this point, 10 years later, 2024, the case is unsolved. Some people speculated that the letters could have just been a cruel prank, but I don't know. I really think it goes deeper than that. The fact that they were actually being watched, that people knew about their daily activities and things like that, seems more than just a prank or a joke. Others considered that it was possibly a neighbor or somebody with a personal vendetta, but it seems as though the letters came before the Broaddus family ever moved in, and then they continued once the Broaddus family moved in. The Watcher case really highlights some unsettling realities of how this type of just anonymous threats and harassment can happen in the modern era. When you think about how easy it is to be anonymous in this day and age, it really is kind of scary. And it just shows that, the fact that this is still not solved today. And, law enforcement faces a lot of challenges when dealing with these types of cases. And, it's still to be seen, whether or not this case will ever be solved. But it really is a sad case because thankfully nobody was hurt, but these people lived in fear, and it actually had some real life consequences for them. I read one article where it talked about how Maria Broaddus actually had PTSD from dealing with just being under so much stress and feeling threatened and fearing for her life, and fearing for her children. So it really did have some real life consequences, and it probably still haunts her to this day. The fact that the person has never been caught, it's really, really unsettling. So the Broaddus family had 3 kids, and at that time their ages were 5, 8, and 10. And they were all really excited to move into this house as well. And I think there was some excitement because Maria's parents lived close by, not quite in the same neighborhood, but they were near. And so they were really excited about this house, and it's very emphasized that this was their dream home. Now, they made an offer on this house, and it's reported that they made an offer and they bought this home from John and Andrea Woods for $1.3 million. And it has been reported that this amount was actually over the asking price. So, it is possible that they beat other people out for the home, and, there are some theories that it was somebody who had been in the running, for the house that got beat out by the Broaddus family. And maybe that was who was sending these creepy letters. So one interesting thing about the sale of the home is that the Woods never allowed a for sale sign to go in the yard. And it's really kind of strange that they would do that. It's just kind of a weird, unique fact about the case. And it's not clear how long the house was on the market before it was purchased, but, the Broaddus family went ahead and purchased this for over asking price, and then they immediately started having contractors work on the home. So they have all of these contractors and inspectors and renovations going on in the house, and that's a lot going on, and Derek, the husband, he wanted to keep an eye on it. So he goes to the house and just to check on, see how things are going. And he goes to the mailbox, probably not even expecting for anything to be in there, but he goes to the mailbox and there's not really any mail except for there is this card or this envelope, and it's addressed to the new owner. And there's no return address or anything like that. And it was postmarked, it sounds like. It was postmarked, but there was no return address. And it's this typed letter. And here's what it says. It's addressed to dearest new neighbor, which, at first you might think it is a welcome letter. You might mistake this for oh, they're welcoming me to the neighborhood, right? So the letter starts off welcoming them to the neighborhood. And it explains that the writer's family has been watching the house for decades. And it started with the grandfather, and then the father, and now it's the writer's turn to watch over the house. It references the house's 110th birthday, but then it takes this kind of weird, dark, twisted turn. And it says, "How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It's now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out." So then it goes on to describe what the writer has seen going on at the house, definitely verifying that they have been watching. It says, "I see already that you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Bad move. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy. You have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I have counted. Are there more on the way? I asked the woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened. Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family, or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive past 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one. Look out any of the many windows in 657 Boulevard at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. Welcome, my friends, welcome. Let the party begin, the Watcher. So, it's very, very strange. The letter is creepy, but, it's identifying that they have seen their children, that they can see the contractors going in and out, and it just verifies that they are watching. They're stalking these people. And they're making these veiled threats. They're saying, you don't want to make the house unhappy, but are they saying, you don't want to make the house unhappy, or you don't want to make me unhappy? And then there's this very creepy talk of, I told the Woods that I wanted young blood. Well, the Woods are the family that sold the house. And then they're saying, once I know their names, I will call to them. Are they threatening to kidnap the children or harm the children in some way? The letters are just so creepy. So imagine that. You've just bought your dream home. You're having it renovated. You're ready to move in. Your family is excited. Your children are excited to move into this beautiful new home. It's right after you've closed on the house. You're getting ready. You go to the mailbox, you find this letter addressed to the new owner, and it says, "Dearest new neighbor," and then all of a sudden you're hit in the face with this. I can't imagine. I would feel sick to my stomach if I saw this. So at this point, Derek Broaddus, he calls the police. Rightfully so. I would be freaked out. So he calls the police and he shows them the letter. They ask him if he knows anybody that would be out to get him or if he has any enemies. And he says no. So he talks to his wife, and the police actually tell him not to talk to the neighbors or anything in case one of them is sending the letter. But he goes home, he talks to his wife, and they decide to reach out to the Woods, the family that lived there before, to see if they know anything about any letters, if they ever got a letter before. And they were like, oh yeah, come to think of it, we did. And so it starts this whole series, though, of letters, and they get more and more, and the poor Broaddus family, they never even move into the house, and it causes so much, mental anguish and fear and just legal issues for them. Now, if you watch the Netflix series, it is quite different from the real-life events. In the Netflix series, I believe they do move into the house, and there's a whole bunch of different events that happen that aren't actually part of the true life story. That show is only loosely based on the real life case of this, but it's a great show, so give it a watch if you haven't seen it already. But here's a few more letters that they received. So a lot of the letters are not available to read. You can find excerpts of them. When I was doing research for this, a few comments that I found was that a lot of the letters have been taken down or redacted because the children were talked about a lot in the letters, and so to preserve their privacy and just due to the sensitive nature of the case, a lot of the letters, the full text is not available, but there are some excerpts that you can find. And so I'd like to read some of the excerpts for you so that you can see just the level of harassment and just how these people were being terrorized by this watcher. So, after the first letter was received, they get more letters. And in one of the letters that the family received about 2 weeks after the first, the watcher tells them that they're committed to monitoring them. And they keep talking about all the windows and all the doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. So this is a big, beautiful house. There's lots of windows. And they're just outright saying, I'm going to watch you in your home. And they write, I am the watcher, and I have been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. And, the other thing that they did was they made sure to use their names. So they would always use Maria and Derek's names in the letters, and they would also include the children's names. So they were showing them that they knew all of these details about them. And so a lot of it, they said in that line, I have been in control of 657 Boulevard. So was this whole thing about being in control and feeling like they had power over them? So they write, I am pleased to know your names now and the names of the young blood. See, and they keep saying this, young blood. And the names of the young blood you have brought me. You certainly say their names often. So all of this is to show that they felt like they had control, that they were definitely watching, and they're just terrorizing these people. The watcher also seemed to be very upset about what the Broaddus family was doing in terms of the renovating. And so the family was staying, I guess, with their family that lived in the neighborhood close by. And because they hadn't moved in yet, the watcher was not happy about that. So the watcher was not happy about the renovations. The watcher was not happy that the family wasn't staying in the home full time. And a lot of it centered on the children, it seemed. So in one of the letters, it said, 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. I mean, that is absolutely terrifying. I wouldn't move into that house either. It's absolutely terrifying to have this anonymous letter and just the creepy language that it uses. It doesn't even say children. It just says young blood, which is, the term young blood is sort of a slang for children, but the word blood is just being used in a threatening way here. And then you add it to, will the young blood play in the basement? You'll never hear them scream. It's absolutely horrifying. And then the letter says, the house is crying from all the pain it is going through. You have changed it and made it so fancy you are stealing its history. It cries for the past and what it used to be in the time when I roamed its halls. The 1960s were a good time for 657 Boulevard, when I ran from room to room, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. So this person seems to really have a problem with the way that they're renovating the house, they're changing it. Like I said at the beginning, this was a historical home, and so this person seemed to have a real problem with the fact that they were renovating it. And then in this letter, they're saying that they used to play in this home. They used to run from room to room, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. So was this somebody that was friends with a former occupant? Was it somebody that maybe was the child of somebody that was employed by the people that lived there? They kind of reveal perhaps a tie that they had to the house. It doesn't seem like they lived there before, though, because they said, imagining the life with the rich occupants there. The letter goes on to say, the house was full of life and young blood. Then it got old, and so did my father, but he kept watching until the day he died, and now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again. So it's very strange. Is he obsessed with the house? Is he obsessed with the family and the children? It's just very strange and perplexing, honestly. The letter goes on to say, I pass by many times a day. 657 is my job, my life, my obsession, and now you are too. Welcome to the product of your greed. Okay, so we get a little bit more information here. I say he, but I don't know. He or she admits that the house is their obsession, and now the family is too, and greed is mentioned again. So the first letter they got, greed was mentioned as well. So this person, and they also talk about the rich occupants. So is this somebody that really has a problem with the upper class, with people who have money? He talks about greed. The letter adds, greed is what brought the past three families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. So Maria and Derek don't move into the house, and instead they rent out the house because they can't move in there, and they just don't want to move their children in there, and they can't sell it because there's already too much attention and stigma around the house. But they rent the house out, and then the renters start getting letters, of course. One letter even says, to the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife Maria. And then it says, you wonder who the watcher is? Turn around, idiots. Maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the watcher could be, or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move. So just very perplexing language, taunting them, calling them names now, kind of increasing and escalating, just being insulting and nasty, calling them idiots, just calling them names. But even so, even as this went on and on, they got the police involved, and the police could never solve it, So the Broaddus family just continued to be just consumed by the stress and anxiety and fear, and they ended up not getting their dream house, and the case was never solved, and they just had to move on. And in the town of Westfield, this story is just a creepy urban legend, and I don't think anybody even takes it seriously. And the house is just that house in the neighborhood. Did anybody have that house where it was the one that you walked past on Halloween and you didn't go to? You didn't go to? I think it's just that creepy house now. Nobody really takes it seriously. And some people just think that the Broaddus family had buyer's remorse and that, like, none of this was really happening and that they were just being silly. But the letters were real. They really did get the letters. And I think that there was not enough empathy for the Broaddus family. And I think that a lot of it did have to do with the fact that this was an affluent family that was moving into a big, beautiful house, and I think there was an element of jealousy going on, and maybe that was the motivation behind the letters. Maybe there was an element of jealousy, or maybe it was somebody that was upset with them renovating the house, and it was supposed to be this historical house. It was 110 years old when they moved in, and maybe they wanted to see it preserved. I've seen some other theories that it was other potential buyers that had put an offer on, and it had been, they had been beaten out by the Broaddus family. However, that theory was debunked because apparently there was only 2 other offers. One family, they found another house and moved in and were happy. And the other offer, that person ended up having a medical condition and wouldn't have been able to buy the house anyway because they were dealing with that. So that theory kind of fell through. One theory that I've seen, and they kind of play on this in the Netflix series, is that it's the realtor doing it so that they can flip the house and make money. I don't think it's that. I do kind of think it's the jealousy thing, and maybe somebody has a grudge against more affluent people, or people that have money. There's just a real focus on greed. I think it's somebody that wanted to have control, and a good way to control somebody is to make them feel fear. And in this case, they definitely made the Broaddus family feel fear to the point that they couldn't even move into their dream home. So, like I said, to this day, 2024, the Watcher case is not solved. We don't know anything else. We don't know who did it. We just know that there were these creepy letters, and they terrorized this poor family. So, let me know what you think in the comments. What are your theories about who the Watcher was? Have you heard of this case before, and have you seen the Netflix series? If not, I recommend that you watch it because it really is good. I'll link it down below, so let me know what you thought. I am going to time-lapse the rest of our diamond painting here, and I'll see you at the end of the time-lapse. Okay, we did it. We finished this square, and oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. I think that actually I have the canvas, the numbers upside down. I think the canvas is actually supposed to go this way, and so that's what it's gonna look like. And so I don't know. I feel like I'm not anymore sure of what this is. This was almost kind of looking like a butterfly, but I don't think it's that. Maybe it's like some kind of weird flower. I'm not sure, but I really feel like this looks like the end of a rocket ship with like the stars. Uh-oh, I got drills popping off here. Uh-oh. I feel like it's almost like the end of a rocket ship here, and there's stars, and I don't know, maybe this is like some kind of alien creature or something. I don't know, or maybe like some kind of plant, or is it an alien ship? I'm really not sure. And then this square over here, still can't tell what this is. I've got drills popping though. It's not great. Yeah, still got drills popping off of here. I need to push them back in. I wish that was not happening. Yeah. But anyway, let me know what you think, what your guesses are for what the canvas is. Ooh, I got my numbers falling off. And I don't know, what do you think this guy is? Let me hold it closer up to the, what do you think that could be? I'm just not sure. But anyway, tell me what you think the canvas could be, and tell me what you thought of today's story. It's really a weird one. And if you have not yet checked out the Netflix show about the Watcher House, check it out. It's a really good show. I'll link it down below. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below, and if you wouldn't mind, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really helps me out here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Mystery Monday. Bye!